Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, what we're going to do on this special episode is something that I've been thinking about, a project and kind of a delivery, and I want to know what you guys think of this format. So please let me know what you think in the comments field below as I go through a conversation and interview with Jared from Guns and Gadgets. In this episode, we're going to dive into almost everything that keeps on stubbornly and annoyingly hanging around, like New York infringements, California infringements, and the new New Jersey infringements. We're going to break all of that down in our conversation. It's going to be amazing. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. We laugh, we cry, and we even have to bleep out a few things, and I know that you guys are going to love it. Once again, let me know what you guys think. I'm going to say a quick word from our sponsor, Established Titles, and then we're going to dive right into the conversation with Jared from Guns and Gadgets. The Established Title Packs give you 1 square foot of dedicated land in an estate in Edelston, Scotland, along with a certified crest like you see right here. This is based on a historic Scottish custom which will allow landowners to become lords or ladies, and if you act now, you can be in the LOA little plot so we can have our own little fiefdom. This is a fun and novel way to preserve the woodlands of Scotland. They work with global charities, One Tree Planted and Trees for Our Future to support global reforestation efforts. You could officially change your name to Lord or Lady and get it on your plane tickets and also on your credit cards. This makes a great last minute gift, and they have couple packs which you can get adjoining plots of land together. In order to give the ultimate conversation piece for that special someone, Established Titles is running a massive sale right now. Plus, if you use the code Langley, you get an additional 10% off. Go to establishedtitles.com/Langley to support the channel now. So as I mentioned in the intros, guys, we have something special. I have the premier source of 2A News, the premier source. That is Jared from Guns and Gadgets. He has coffee, he has wisdom, he has knowledge and experience. Jared, you want to say hello to the people?
How now, brown cow?
This is how we're starting. All right, so guys, what we are going to do today is we're going to have a conversation. He and I were kind of going back and forth on some of the things that were going down and the similarities of what the gun controllers are kind of being pushed to, right? You've got California, San Jose with insurance mandates and now $1,000 fees. You have New York, which has gone in the court system. It gets put on injunction. It gets overruled. It's not on injunction. Then New Jersey decides all this going on. It's a good time to combine those two and make a big mess for everybody. So that's what we're going to dive into. Let you know what you guys think in the comments field below, because it's something we haven't done before on my channel, but I think it's something you guys might like. So let us know in the comments field below. And with that, Jared, my man, my friend, my mentor, we got to dive into this. What do you want to hit? User's choice. We can do California, New York, or New Jersey. Which one's first?
Well, let's start out. Let's go out of the box. Let's go to New York because they're the ones who were the first to habitual line step after the Supreme Court decision. And Kathy Hochul is, I'd say, double down, but she's quadrupled down there yesterday talking about red flags and stuff like that. So let's talk about New York and where they are, because I don't know about you, I get a ton of people commenting saying what's going on in New York. I thought it was unconstitutional. So let's just start there.
Oh, I love it. So the New York stuff, this is a saga of its own making. I mean, first you had the Sullivan Law, which got struck down by the Bruen decision. The Bruen decision comes out. That wreaks all kinds of havoc in the gun control world. Then you come in right behind that. New York does a special session. All the while, you got the Dobbs decision that dropped in. This summer was crazy. And then they came back in and they basically said, hey, all those things that you thought you could do, well, we're not making it a just cause for permits. You just can't have permits. It's
Right.
we didn't say we were doing just cause. You just can't carry it on the bus. You can't carry it on the street. You can't carry it in private businesses. And so that's what got put under injunction. In fact, I mean, you saw Letitia James move quick when Judge Sotheby actually put an injunction on that, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. That's New York. They're all in trouble right now. Kathy Hochul hopefully loses this gubernatorial race here in 2 weeks. I was reading this morning before I started tearing my office apart that she is in trouble. So if the Democrat-leaning newspapers are telling you she's in trouble, then she's probably really in trouble. So New Yorkers, if you're watching, got to vote Cruella de Vil out of office. You guys don't go out and vote. It doesn't happen. And then we're doing this for the next 4 years. But yeah, man, they want to go quick because they're trying to outmaneuver the Supreme Court. They know that once this gets back before Clarence Thomas, he's going to, legislatively and stuff like that.
Well, of course.
Destroyed. Yeah.
So
they're trying to, they're trying to outsmart some of the smartest legal minds in the world.
Right. And the interesting thing, and we've had multiple conversations around this just privately offline, they're trying everything they possibly can, but it's still falling short. I mean, even from the standpoint of social media requirements, from the standpoint of interviewing multiple different people, which New Jersey really jumped in on. I mean, in New York, the system is working, but the Second Circuit is, I mean, I'm not going to say they're dragging their feet because it hasn't been that long. But I mean, basically, it's got to go before this appeals panel. And then Letitia James, the AG of New York, has to explain herself to the point where she said, it's going to cause all sorts of chaos.
Right.
Well, it wouldn't have caused chaos if you didn't cause chaos. I mean, that's the biggest irony of the whole thing. I hit that on my channel frequently. It would cause chaos if you rip out this thing that I put in that's causing chaos. It's
Right,
like, so
yeah.
we need more chaos.
Yeah, don't look at me, look at over there, because you guys are the problem. It's going to come down to the actual the injunction hearing that's coming up, because that case is still going forward, even though the Second Circuit butted in to give New York a little bit of leeway. It's still coming down to that hearing, which is fast approaching, and I still think it's going to be ruled unconstitutional. I can't see them not doing it without it literally going, on the highway to the Supreme Court.
Correct. Well, and that's the other piece that we hear a lot in our comments, and we also talk about that. Something was ruled unconstitutional, so they created a different avenue, and now we're going through that exact same scenario again and again and again. Eventually, they're going to run out of doors to keep on trying, but we've got to knock the doors off their hinges one by one, and this is a perfect case with the Second Circuit Appellate Court.
It would be great if
they just stopped.
When the Supreme Court makes a decision, if they didn't leave cracks where people can drive, anti-gun buses through, it would be a hell of a lot easier.
Right.
But I feel everybody's frustration on all the comments on all of our channels. They say similar things. I get it, and I would love them to rule the other way anyway. But when an item comes before the Supreme Court, they can only rule on that.
Right.
And what you saw in this one, the Bruin decision, is Clarence Thomas and this, the other five that joined him, they went a little further than they really would have if Clarence Thomas wasn't looking to put a smackdown.
100%.
And remember, another thing I want to say, there is no such thing as 4D chess. All right. The Supreme Court went a decade without taking up a single gun case. That doesn't mean they're going to take up this New York case. It doesn't mean they're going to take up anything out of California. We have to go off what is in front of us at the moment. We can't worry about what's going to happen 2 years from now, because that is a losing battle.
I would agree. I mean, personally, I'm a fan of the 5D chess. We've talked about it.
Or Klingon chess, Star Trek.
Klingon chess with the Star Trek. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? So there's a fine balance, and I think you hit on it perfectly. Like, they don't have a long history. There's not like there's a new gun case that goes out to the Supreme Court every single year. I think the stat is like 1% of cases that they even get pitched to get taken.
Yeah. It's a very small percentage.
It's a tiny percentage. And the Bruin decision was so powerful and so strong. We have to keep on working that and keep on working that. It will work its way out. But the longer that those court cases go, it's just time. Like you said, 2, 3, 4 years.
Right.
The biggest and easiest way, in my personal opinion, I'm sound off on this, if we get the right people, or at least prevent the wrong people from being in power, they can't pass all of these things, which would then give us 2 to 5 years of work.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
a lot of people get frustrated with the elections, and a lot of people say,
100%.
Our votes don't matter. But even if you don't think it matters, we need the numbers. If you just want to give the numbers to the right candidates, and I'm not one of those people who say always vote Republican, because there are snakes on the Republican side. That's why we got that, bipartisan support for the red flag funding and all that stuff. Yeah. So they are, it's a two-headed coin, but you have to figure out which candidate is more constitutional than their opponent, and go that way. And another thing is, if there are people watching this that think they can do a better job, please run for office. That's what the founders intended, was they do a couple terms, they go back to the field, live by the laws that they work to pass, and the next people would come up. It wasn't supposed to be a bunch of 150-year-old slugs, just drooling all over the days up there. It's just not supposed to be that way. We need young, constitutional cats to run for office.
100%. Could not have said that better. I assume that's why you're the premier source of 2A News.
Yeah, it's all great here, man.
I saw that wisdom. All right. So with that, now let's bounce over to California, right? Because this is something that you and I have hit on pretty hard on our channels. If you guys are not familiar, we have a situation where the city of San Jose has mandated insurance for gun owners, and you have to pay a fee. And now they've imposed fines that if you don't acquiesce, that was a nice way to say it, to their demands, then you're going to pay $250, $500, and $1,000 every subsequent time. This is blatantly unconstitutional. In fact, even when it's gone through the court system, the judge themselves even said, this is probably not going to work, but because San Jose pulled that normal trick that gun controllers do, well, it's not implemented. There was no harm, so therefore the process can proceed. What's interesting about that, I mean, there's no question it's unconstitutional. I mean, it's blatantly unconstitutional. What's interesting about that situation is the way that they handle on the gun control side, the incubators, those little areas like Los Angeles, like California, San Diego, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, for example, they all use these as incubators to see, will it fly, will it not fly, and kind of as trial balloons, right?
Right.
Which is where it brings us to this New Jersey thing, because New Jersey, for the life of me, I cannot figure out why they decided to take the most unconstitutional pieces when they're seeing obstacles, they're seeing resistance in certain areas, and put it all up into one bill, which makes it even harder to get past constitutional muster. I'm like, okay, New Jersey, you guys are either trying to stick a stick in the eye of the Supreme Court, or you're looking for a failure. I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is, we're less than 10, 12 days away from the election, if that now. I don't even know what
12.
Today's date is yet right now. I think a lot of it is, look what we tried to do. Look what we did. At least we did something. You hear that a lot. We got to do something.
God, yes.
No, you don't have to do something. You're supposed to do something constitutional. I think the New Jersey bill is going, I think it will pass. I really think, unfortunately, it's going to pass. And then they'll have to fight it in court. New Jersey's courts are not very pro-gun, so it'll have to go to the appellate system, and then it'll have to work its way up to the Supreme Court. It's a game that the anti-gunners play. They've been playing it for 30, 40, 50 years. Is they're going to do whatever the hell they want because they know they can do it in the immediate because they have the perceived power, and they leave it up to the peons like us to bitch and moan and to get our gun groups that we're members of to launch a lawsuit and then get a judge to say one thing or another and then appeal it all the way up and to take millions and millions of dollars just to get it to the point where they'll have their hands slapped and say you shouldn't have been doing that, and then they just try it again. It's an old game. It's been going on for a long time, and it's going on again in New Jersey.
Well, and so this is you just hit on something that's so systemic in my opinion. Like this isn't only the gun world. If you step out of the Second Amendment, this goes into anything, and sometimes, like the things that I like to hit on my channel are the broader base, the trend line items. Like, well, this doesn't make sense with this. Like, you can't say this stands in one scenario, but it doesn't stand in another.
Right.
They will continuously do this. Like they've done it in the past 10 years. They've done it with immigration. They've done it. I mean, on the other side, they've done it with.
Look what they did with the last 2 years with the jabs. Now everything's coming out.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
It was all a lie. And then even New York, the state Supreme Court said every state employee is getting their job back with back pay because you had no constitutional right to fire them.
Right.
So it's happening, but for 2 years, people's lives were ruined.
It's just a game.
Back pay, but what happened in the last 2 years? Did they get divorced? Did they lose their family? Some people died. Some people went homeless.
Correct. And that's the big thing that we hit on a lot. Like you and I have had conversations. You said something that was fascinating and that I like to hit on a lot on my channel is they do a lot of things, sometimes knowing that it won't pass or knowing that it won't become law because they said, oh, but look what we did. So now you can give us more power because we did it, even though we didn't do it, but we tried to do it. Those pesky Republicans, right?
Right.
I mean, the biggest case in point, if you look back, and we're kind of getting sidetracked, but it's okay. It's fun. So if you look at all the things that we've been through, like we spent a lot of time on HR 8, HR 1446. We had the assault weapons ban of 2022 that just went through. What's fascinating about all of those things are they're still shelved. I mean, even Schumer, who came out and said, well, unlike those Republican cowards, we're going to actually put it on a floor vote. And they never put it on a floor vote.
Right.
And that just kind of like faded off into the distance. That's probably the hardest thing for me. I mean, obviously speak to this, I'm curious your perspective. The hardest thing for me is walking that line of kind of hitting the key points of, yes, they are doing this. Absolutely. But look at the reason why they are doing it.
Sure. Well, they do it to move the goalpost is why they do it. So you have the House and, 435 buttheads who said, you know what, we're going to pass this, and all of them didn't vote for it, but we're going to pass XYZ bill. Even though it's unconstitutional on its face, we're going to pass it so that we put pressure on the senior House. And, the Senate knows, hey, we screw this up. We vote for this. We lose one seat and we lose power, and Biden's administration loses power. They're not stupid. I mean, there were a couple ways that they were thinking of passing it, but they needed a couple more Republicans who weren't willing to basically lose their careers. So now what they'll do is this next Congress will be sworn in January, and they'll just say, hey, you know what, let's pick up from there because it already passed the House. Now let's tweak it so that it's a little more tasty for both sides. And it's a dangerous game because often And I do it myself. Like I get so focused on the current bills, I forget about ones that have been submitted year after year after year
Mm-hmm.
after year, and each time they gain more support, like VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act.
Mm-hmm.
That bill has nothing to do basically with violence against women. It's all pork, and now it's red flag in there, and there's all kinds of crap. But that's the game. So they want to distract you over here while they just keep resubmitting, building some
Yep.
support, getting more funding, and then something bad comes out, and then you got people on both sides of the aisle, like the red flag issue.
Yep, and you could, that's a very astute point. Like you could even look at it as saying, well, you know what? We're going to take all those AWs. We're take all those, ban it all, ban everything. This is the ban of all bans. And
Right.
then when you get the resistance, you go, well, fine, we'll compromise. How about this nice VAWA? Like
Right.
this is a nice vintage. It's been here for a while. It's matured.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll drop one or two things. The NRA will be sleeping. It'll be great.
Right. Yeah. Literally.
Because that didn't happen.
No, not at all.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
But so in summation, we've because man, see, this is why we have too much fun. So in summation, we've got New York. They're just pushing the envelope until they're going to get smacked again by the appellate court. Then you've got San Jose, which is egregiously bad. That's going to get struck down over time with the mandating insurance and fees and fines. And then you have New Jersey, which is probably going to pass it and have another lawsuit in the system for a little while.
Yeah. Well, the best was the New Jersey one, because the way that's written, we talked to this before coming on air. My video I did this morning, it literally bans everything, folks. Pens, pencils, telephone poles, rulers,
these
tools.
microphones.
Yeah, anything that can be used as a weapon to cause harm, anything is technically banned under this bill. So they just wanted to get something done so fast leading up to the elections that they didn't realize that they're going to ban everything. Like every item that can be used to cause injury is going to be banned under this bill. Idiots.
Right. Well, and that goes to something that you said otherwise a moment ago, kind of wrapping this up. If they're doing this in deep blue New Jersey, if they're saying these in the deep blue New York newspapers, if they are looking at the polling, if they're looking at everything that's on the ground, there's a reason they're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
And that is power in your hands. As the people watching this video between Jared of Guns and Gadgets, Braden of Langley Outdoors, and thank you so much for coming on, buddy.
Hey, my pleasure, man. I appreciate it. Let's do it more often.
Absolutely. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, and I will see you guys on the next one. I'm leaping that in there.
Good.